All right, welcome YouTube. We are here for a Clear Vision Wednesday, and today's topic is what I call play your way to better vision by rediscovering childhood fun. So you can see my little fun things here. A lot of times, I just had a session today with a private client, and he's very good. He's very following the order, like following the protocol, very good. But a lot of times it comes to this kind of like mechanical, I have to do these exercises, right? And when it comes to vision, it's all about, we're only looking at things that we're interested in, right? We're not looking at things that we're not interested in. So curiosity is the key driver to actually seeing things and being able to see them clearly. And having fun, right? As children, we did things that were fun. So sometimes reminding ourselves to get back into fun. And this thing here I'm wearing today, that's like from the party store. This is something that I think is really fabulous for computer use when we are, when we have that tunnel vision, like staring ahead of us. You basically want to stimulate your peripheral vision, which is kind of what shuts down when we're super focused, especially when we wear glasses. So obviously I'm taking this off now, but this is something like fun. I also bought a mobile that you can hang on the side, but in the periphery, we only really notice movement. So, all right, let me take this off. So I came up with a bunch of different things that I can show you. There's a previous episode, and oh, by the way, I totally forgot to introduce myself. I'm Claudia Mühlenweg, the creator of the Natural Clear Vision Method, and my company is Holistic Vision, and I'm here every Wednesday for Clear Vision Wednesday to give you tips and strategies for vision improvement. And a lot of times we have amazing guests sharing insights on vision that you might not even think about. So subscribe to this channel and share that with anybody who's interested in preserving and improving their eyesight naturally. All right, so today's topic is the games. So one thing I wanted to mention first, and I don't have the tool here because I forgot to take the Amazon pack, long story, but you've all seen these balls, and maybe I can share my screen, but those balls where you have a little wristband, you have a list and there's a string attached to that. So those balls are great when you want to, first of all, hand-eye coordination. Throwing and catching is a really great way to stimulate your vision. And especially when you have low vision, glaucoma, maybe macular degeneration, any kind of high contrasty objects, like, those balls that are ordered, they come in rainbow colors. They have a basketball, a soccer ball. So any like black and white soccer balls, like the old fashioned ones, are really great, because if your vision is low, any kind of high contrast is really going to help stimulate that. So imagine I have a ball and you throw it and you catch it, and you don't have to search around it because it always comes back, right? It's attached to your wrist. That's a really fun thing to do. That's number 2 after the peripheral vision. So that's something I recommend. And then obviously other ball games, right? I have never really learned to juggle, but this is a company it's called Klutz, comes with a instruction booklet. So juggling, let's look at myopia a little bit, right? Nearsightedness. A lot of times there's a kind of stiffness in the lens and the eyes, and we want to create more movement. So, even if you just start throwing and catching, and then maybe you add more. One of my mentors, Peter Mansfield, all he did with children was teach them to juggle, and they oftentimes were able to get rid of their glasses. So juggling, throwing the ball, and again, you can have high contrasty balls, neon colors or black and white ones, and there's a set of 3. So juggling is a really great way, and again, get over the frustration. I have to actually get back in the game. I was never really able to do it fully because I never committed. But it's a great way to improve your vision naturally and have some fun, right? And if you have kids or grandkids, how about practicing it together? You can also do like beanbag, like, either these bags are great because they're filled with beans or some kind of grains, or these are, ones that my sister made. But anything that doesn't bounce away is great for throwing and catching. So you can play games where, you stand across from each other. And I recommend in the beginning not to make it super challenging. And then you can even start throwing with both hands. So I don't have a partner here, so I'm throwing and the other person throws back, and then you catch it with 2 hands and you keep going. And if that gets easy, then you start doing with 1 hand, right? So you throw and catch with 1 hand, let's say the right hand. Then you do the other hand, right? So now it's a non-dominant hand. You might feel like, oh, it falls to the ground, but keep it light, keep it fun. This is good for all vision conditions. And then if that's easy, now let me see where are my occluders. Then you start creating more challenge. So now you can use an eye patch, or you can use something like this, an occluder, where you just see with 1 eye. Now depth perception is gone, right? Now it's way more challenging to gauge how far that ball is. And that's a really great way to stimulate your peripheral vision, your ability to gauge distances, your hand-eye coordination, especially when you now throw to this side, right? Because now your peripheral vision, you have to really look. And then obviously you alternate to the other eye. So you do that whole thing again, both hands, one hand, other hand, and then you switch to the other side, obviously, right? You do it with the other eye. And if you want to really get fancy, and this is easy, you can increase the distance. So I would start with maybe just a yard away from each other. So it's really more about having success than making it super challenging. And when it gets easier, you can either step further apart, or you can start using two balls. You can throw two balls parallel, you can throw them crosswise. So there's layers and layers of adding more difficulty and fun. So you definitely need a partner. That's the only thing. If you're like single or you don't have anybody to play with, this is obviously, then you do the juggling. And you can do juggling too, if you really want to challenge yourself, right? You can do juggling with, blocking one eye or the other eye. That's definitely going to make it more challenging. So, but here's the thing. It's not about a competition. Remind yourself that this is about having fun and that you're practicing something and getting better at it, right? I always remind myself, if kids would give up after the third time they fall on their butt when they try to learn walking, nobody would ever learn walking, right? So sometimes reminding ourselves to have fun and not see it as like, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at throwing. I used to say those things. All right, so let me look at my little notes. Okay, so we had, this is another great one to do, especially it's really good for all vision conditions, but if you're myopic, get like a bouncy ball, like maybe a colorful one. Sometimes for Halloween, they have the ones with the eyeball on it. And you basically, I can't do it here I'm seated here, but you basically bounce the ball, right? And then you catch it and you look at the ball and then you look at something far away. And then you maybe use the other hand and you bounce it, you catch it, and then you look at something far away. A great object to look far away at is an eye chart, so that you can kind of, you basically stop staring. There's always, with all these games, there's movement. And what kids are good at is movement, right? We as adults, we're like sitting there staring at the screen. So bouncing the ball, catching it, looking at something far away, and make it fun again. So bouncy ball, this one is kind of cool. It looks like a pool ball, so it has a number on it. That's another way where you can kind of check your near vision. If you have something printed on the ball would be good. But it could also be a bigger one. You could use a tennis ball. They bounce pretty well as well. Okay, so that's the bouncy ball. And this is, I just got these in Germany. They look like from the 50s. I just love this design. So this is the good old fashioned. I actually haven't opened it. Should have opened it. Here we go. You know what this is, right? Let's see. My computer is probably not happy about the soap bubbles, but soap bubbles, right? So you can follow the soap bubble. You can look at it and see it move away, and it's not about perfect clarity, but it's following. It's basically it's called smooth pursuit movements. You can pick one of the bubbles and follow it with your eyes. Let me close this again before it spills all over my computer keyboard. So soap bubbles, great thing to do, fun to do. We all used to do that as kids. That's another one. The next one I learned from my mentor, Ray Gottlieb. He's been on this show before, Dr. Ray Gottlieb, former behavioral optometrist. So he calls this Chopstick fusion. This is one of the 3D games. I'm going to have a few more that I can show you. Unfortunately, I can't really demonstrate unless I would do some kind of animation. But what you're supposed to do here is, so you have two chopsticks or two pencils, and you hold them kind of like, I like to hold them together at the bottom and then apart. And this is a little bit of practicing. So if you only have vision in one eye, or you have amblyopia, this might be initially challenging. You might not see three. What you want to accomplish is 3 chopsticks, not by looking at them, but by looking beyond them. Let's say I'm looking at the computer now, right? I'm looking at myself on the computer, and I can see 3 chopsticks. So there's one in the middle, and then there's basically 3. It looks like let me see, like a W, basically. There's one in the middle, a third one. And that seems to be going like further out. And the further out you go, the longer it seems to get. This took me like a long time to get, so don't worry if you don't see that. But having fun with some binocular vision games Another one that you might know is the hot dog, where you do like 2 fingers and then you look beyond the finger and you see a little third little sausage floating in the middle. So what this is that each eye produces its own image. So with the chopsticks, right, each eye, left eye sees this one, right eye sees that one. And then the 2 eyes together, if you don't look at it, but you look beyond it, creates kind of a composite, so a third one. And it doesn't matter if you use circles or whatever you use, the fingers, the chopsticks. The idea is that you see a third image and that you get that 3D effect. So that's fun. And if you have any vision challenges like strabismus, like I used to have, and you struggle with this, then it's really important you practice that. And maybe you work with a vision teacher like myself or a colleague of mine or a behavioral optometrist to really help, especially if you have no vision in one eye or very poor vision. This will take time. This is not just something that you can immediately do. And it can be frustrating. And I'm jumping around a little bit, but I wanted, speaking of frustrating, so these, you guys have all seen these kind of books, right? Where you have these squiggly lines. This is something I couldn't do. And this is called diverging. So you pretend to look through the page and then you see these cool 3D images. And I used to stare at these things and be like, what the heck, where is that 3D image? I don't see anything. And I got really frustrated. And just the key thing is to relax and just try it out, because the more you force yourself, the more frustrated you get, the less successful it will be. Think of the little kid that falls on their butt when they start walking. You're like, okay, I'm going to try it again tomorrow. But these are these kind of books, you've all seen them. And the good thing is with this one, for instance, just like the chopsticks I showed you, you will basically look through the page and you will see a third tree. And when you have the third one, then you know that your eyes are aligned and you will be able to see the 3D image. And what I used to, there's 2 things that help you with this particular stuff. Either you have hold it to your nose, and then you let your gaze kind of be soft, like you relax your eyes, and then you slowly move the page away, but you're not trying to look at it. Okay, now I see it. See, I couldn't do this at all, and now I see it already. The other way that worked for me was to focus somewhere in the distance, and then I would kind of still like imagine that object and slide the book kind of in front of and then slowly I could do it. So give this a try, but these magic eye books are really fun. All the chopsticks, so all the 3D fusion games, the hot dog, all of those are fun. Let me see what else I have. Oh yeah. So I couldn't find I bought this a long time ago in Edinburgh, and this was I don't know if you guys can, this is a photocopy, but this is kind of was a little, see how there's 2, it's like red and blue and how it's kind of not aligned. So basically what this does, this is really fun. Again, this is all based on you having 2 eyes working together. You put these glasses on, and when you just look at the paper, nothing interesting happens. But when you write with a black pen on it, on this paper, it looks like the black ink is like floating on top of the page. So it's just a really fun, I really enjoy doing those things. Let me see another one. Oh yeah. So these are also fun books. I bought these at a yard sale, I think. This is basically, again, this is red, green. So that they come in red, blue usually, or red, green. And see, again, you have these lines. And if you just look at it without these glasses, nothing interesting will happen. But when you look at them, so now you get that 3D effect. Oops, some of the things are floating above. Here's another one with dinosaurs. So, maybe, oh, this is not dinosaur, sorry, I have one. This is like, human anatomy, and it looks really cool because it looks 3D. And if your 3D vision is great, then this is just fun to do. And if it's not great, all these practices are a great way to help you improve it. And again, if you're really starting from a point of not having any 3D vision, then you will probably want to work with somebody to help you, because otherwise just looking at them without knowing what to do will probably not be very helpful. All right. So let's look a little bit at presbyopia. I feel like if you're farsighted, that was my challenge. Like your distance vision is pretty good, but anything close up gets really blurry. So there's a few things, remember these things? And it's nice because it's kind of more fun than tromboning, because you look at the graphics on this one, and you can even write messages on that. And then you kind of, it's a fun way, or this one makes a sound. This one doesn't, it's just yellow, there's nothing on it. It's so silly, but those things are fun, or maybe even blowing up balloons with some graphics on it. Again, getting into that near point without having to read or study, just having fun things to do at the near point is a great way to simulate your near vision. What else did I have for near vision? Oh yeah. So I've showed this in the previous episode, but all these, remember these kind of, this is just a photocopy, but remember these kind of connect the dots things, and you can download those online. And what's really nice, if you follow me or any vision improvement teacher, you know that we can only see one really small spot clearly at once. So when you look at one of the dots, let's see here, you see this one a lot better than all the other dots, right? So in vision, we want to shift, we want to look here and then find the next one. So you're moving, you find the next one, you draw the line. So you're constantly shifting, finding the next number. And it's a really fun way, instead of doing an eye exercise of shifting, to kind of practice this natural vision habit of looking at one spot, but then scanning for the next one. And another way of doing this would be, these are a little bit more challenging. And you maybe, if you have a photocopier and you want to do this without glasses, but you're pretty fast, you can always enlarge these things. But these are these word puzzles. I just did one in the newspaper. That one was super easy. Everything was just diagonal, vertical and horizontal, and nothing overlapped. Usually, so there's easier versions that are like that in the newspaper. And then there's other ones where you also have words that are diagonal and there's lots of words overlapping. But this is a good way because you're scanning, and your brain will look for words in there. And they also give you the words that you're supposed to find. So this one is a little bit more mentally, challenging than just doing the connect the dots. But again, all stuff, getting you relaxed back into the near point. And then obviously what's great, also coloring. These are copies from a book from Mandalas. So coloring is a really great way to do it. If you're farsighted, I highly recommend that you use more like children's books, kind of coloring books, versus like really, really intricate, because I recommend doing all these things without glasses. And so you don't want to get a book that's so intricate where you have to do like, super, super tiny work. And if you're nearsighted, I also recommend for your nearsighted people, maybe get some that are not so small. I know you guys can probably draw your name on a piece of rice. But if you're nearsighted, you tend to be super perfectionistic, and maybe get a little bit more loose, maybe draw over the lines. The farsighted folks tend to draw over the lines. And for you guys, maybe stick in the lines, but don't make it too challenging, right? So this is actually a book, this is a mandala book for children. And this is a really good one for all of you guys with astigmatism, because with astigmatism, certain lines will have doubling and others will be more black. And when you relax and just ignore the shadow one, a lot of times you will experience that clarity coming in at a relaxed point. But again, if you don't like coloring, if you always hated this as a kid, then obviously, do things that you liked as a kid, really. Let's see, there's so many other things, but really my message here, I'm just looking if I missed anything. My message here is that once you understand the principles of vision improvement, like moving your eyes, shifting, looking near and far, you can really use anything as a vision practice or as a game, right? You can make it fun and playful once you understand what the purpose of a practice is. Again, they will sell you the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet into the distance for 20 seconds. Yes, that's helpful. Some people set a timer. That would never be me. I would not set a timer every 20 minutes and then be like rigidly 20 seconds, look 20 feet in the distance. But if you find things that are fun, or set up your computer in a way where it's easy to do, I think that's really what we want. We want to understand the principle that our eyes need to move near and far, look for peripheral vision, that we need to learn tracking movement, objects. Maybe you like plane spotting, like my sister loves plane spotting. You can watch planes, right? You can watch birds. Maybe you like birds. You can watch birds fly in the sky. All those things are really good for your vision. So find something that you really enjoy versus doing an exercise. So let me see if there's any questions on YouTube. And Umberto says, I have a left eye blurred vision. It's getting worse. I had surgery in November 2020. It hasn't gotten any better. yeah, I don't know about your specific condition. And I also want to say that I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice anyway, but you can always reach out. If you have any questions, send us an email, support@myholisticvision, and we will do our best to help you. Really, relaxation is, so important, especially if you're fighting it all the time. Like, I've worked with clients with eye diseases that had very limited vision, and you always want to think about getting, like, how can I get out the vision that I have, right? How can I get the most out of the vision that I have? You might not be able to get back to perfect vision, depending on your age and your condition, but how can you get the most out of it? So even people that have basically just some light perception, they can still use flashlights, they can still stimulate their vision. There's still things that you can do, even if you can't even read, right? So that at any level you can play games, stimulate your vision with light, with colors. Those are all things that you want to do, really. So I hope this was helpful for everybody. We're going to say goodbye on YouTube today. And next week, super excited about my friend, Dr. Amelia Barrett. She's a neurologist, and she's going to talk about migraines, visual migraines, real migraines, and the connections to vision. So cannot wait to see her. And if you have a comment here, Rosie, you have trouble with distance. Yeah, anything that gives you fun in the distance, and relax into seeing, not instead of fighting it. The more you fight it, the more blurry things will get. All right. I see you guys soon. Have a great